She looked me straight in the eyes and said she hated being with me. That night, I quietly packed my bags, but what happened next? I was not ready for it. The night I walked away. There are moments in life that don't feel real when they happen. Moments where everything slows down. Where the air feels heavier. Where even your own heartbeat sounds distant. For me, that moment came on a quiet evening I'll never forget. Nothing was wrong. At least, nothing obvious. No shouting. No argument. No broken plates or slammed doors. Just silence. The kind of silence that doesn't come suddenly, but grows slowly, over days, weeks, maybe even years. I was sitting on the couch, staring at my phone without really seeing anything. The TV was on, but muted. Dinner plates were still on the table. The house felt empty. Even though we were both there. She walked into the room. I noticed it immediately. Not because she said anything, but because of what was missing. No smile. No warmth. No connection. She didn't sit next to me. Didn't ask how my day was. Didn't even look at me properly. And then she said it. I hate being with you. 6 words. Soft. Calm. Almost casual. But they didn't feel soft. They hit like something sharp, something final. For a second, I thought I imagined it. Because people don't just say things like that. Not after years of marriage. Not after everything you've been through together. What? I asked, my voice low, almost afraid. She looked at me this time. Straight into my eyes. No hesitation. I said, I hate being with you. And just like that, everything inside me broke. I didn't shout. Didn't get angry. Didn't defend myself. Because deep down, something terrifying happened in that moment. Backhand index pointing right, I believed her. Not because of what she said, but because of how long I had been feeling it. The distance. The silence. The way we stopped laughing, stopped touching, stopped trying. This wasn't a sudden storm. This was something that had been dying quietly for a long time. She turned and walked away. Just like that. Like she hadn't just destroyed something inside me. And I sat there. Still. Trying to understand how we got here. I remembered the beginning. The way she used to smile when she saw me. The way she would hold my hand for no reason. The way we couldn't go a day without talking. Back then, love felt easy. Now, it felt like work, one-sided work. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling. Replaying her words over and over again. I hate being with you. Each time it echoed in my mind. It hurt a little more. By morning, something inside me had changed. Not anger. Not even sadness. Just clarity. I got up quietly. Didn't say anything. Didn't look at her. I walked to the closet. And pulled out my old suitcase. The same one we used for vacations. For happy memories. For plans. Now. It felt like an ending. I placed it on the bed. Opened it slowly. And started packing. Each item I picked up carried a memory. A shirt she once said she loved. A jacket from our first trip. A watch she gave me years ago. Every piece felt heavier than it should have been. Because it wasn't just fabric. It was everything we used to be. Halfway through packing, I stopped. Because a painful realization hit me. Backhand index pointing right, I was leaving, and she hadn't even noticed. That hurt more than anything she said. But then, her voice came from behind me. You're really leaving? I froze for a second. Then continued packing. You said you hate being with me, I replied quietly. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Uncomfortable. I waited. For something. Anything. An apology. A don't go. Even anger. But nothing came. So I closed the suitcase. Zipped it up. Picked it up. And started walking toward the door. Each step felt unreal. Like I was watching someone else do it. This was it. The end of everything we had built. I reached the door. Placed my hand on the handle. And then. Wait. Her voice cracked. Not loud. Not dramatic. But desperate. I stopped. Slowly. I turned around. And what I saw, I wasn't prepared for. She was crying. Not just tears. She was shaking. Struggling to breathe. Like something inside her had finally broken. I didn't mean it, she whispered. And in that moment, I saw her. Not the cold, distant version from the past months. But the woman I fell in love with. I don't hate you, she said. Her voice trembling. I hate what we've become. And just like that, everything changed. The truth that saved us. I stood there. My hand still near the door. My suitcase on the floor. And for the first time in months, we were actually looking at each other. Really looking. I slowly walked back into the room. Then why say it? I asked quietly. She wiped her tears. But they didn't stop. Because I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling. She sat down. Looking smaller, weaker than I had ever seen her. I felt trapped, she said. Not because of you, but because of myself. I stayed silent. Because something told me. This was only the beginning. There's something else, she whispered. My chest tightened instantly. I need to tell you the truth. Those words. They never come easy. There was someone else. The world went silent. Completely silent. I didn't react. Didn't shout. Didn't even move. Because deep down, I had already felt it. It didn't go too far, she said quickly. But I let him get close. And that was enough. Because betrayal doesn't start with actions. It starts with attention. Do you know what scared me the most? She asked. I didn't answer. It wasn't losing you. That hurt. It was realizing I didn't feel anything anymore. I closed my eyes. Because that pain was different. That wasn't just betrayal. That was emptiness. I was broken, she said. And instead of fixing myself, I blamed you. And for the first time, I understood. This wasn't just about another man. This was about two people who stopped communicating, stopped understanding, stopped trying. I'm not asking you to forgive me, she said softly. I just didn't want you to leave thinking I never cared. That sentence changed everything. Because sometimes closure matters more than being right. I looked at the door again. Then at her. And I made the hardest decision of my life. I'll stay, I said. Her eyes filled with tears again. But things have to change. She nodded. Not out of relief, but out of realization. The next few weeks were hard. Really hard. Trust doesn't come back overnight. There were days I wanted to leave again. Days I couldn't forget what she said. Or what she did. But there were also moments, small ones, that gave me hope. We started talking again. Not about routine things, but real things. Feelings, fears, pain. Slowly, we began to understand each other again. One night, she held my hand and said something I'll never forget. "I didn't fall out of love with you." She paused. "I just lost myself." And in that moment, everything made sense. People don't always destroy relationships because they stop loving. Sometimes, they destroy them because they don't know how to handle their own pain. Months passed. We weren't perfect, but we were real. And that made all the difference. One evening, she looked at me and said, "Thank you for not leaving." I smiled softly. Because the truth was, I almost did. And sometimes, I still think about it. What if I had walked out? Maybe life would have been easier. Less painful. But also empty. Because I would have never learned. Backhand index pointing right that broken people can heal. Backhand index pointing right that love can return. Backhand index pointing right that honesty can fix what silence. The life we almost lost, staying, was harder than leaving. People think walking away is the hardest decision. It's not. The hardest decision is staying after your heart has been broken. Because leaving ends the pain. But staying? Backhand index pointing right, staying forces you to face it every single day. The first few weeks after that night were the most uncomfortable days of my life. We didn't suddenly become happy. There was no magical moment. No instant healing. Just silence. But this time, it was different. Before, our silence was empty. Now, it was heavy with things we were trying to understand. We started talking. Slowly. Carefully. At first, it felt strange. Like we were strangers trying to learn each other again. "What do you feel?" I asked her one night. She took a long pause before answering. "I feel scared," she said. "Of what?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with something I hadn't seen in a long time. Honesty. Of losing you, and of not knowing how to fix myself. That answer stayed with me. Because for the first time, she wasn't blaming me. She was facing herself. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And slowly, we started changing. Not perfectly, but genuinely. We began to talk about things we had ignored for years. Her loneliness. My silence. Her emotional distance. My frustration. We realized something painful. Backhand index pointing right, we didn't break in one moment. Backhand index pointing right, we broke slowly, without noticing. One night, she said something that hit me harder than her confession. "You know what hurt me the most?" she asked. I shook my head. It wasn't that we stopped loving each other. She paused. It was that we stopped trying and didn't even notice. That truth was heavier than everything else. Because she was right. Love doesn't disappear suddenly. It fades. When effort disappears. But healing? It works the opposite way. It grows. When effort comes back. Months later, things were different. Not like before. Better. Because this time, we weren't pretending. We were honest. Even when it hurt. One evening, we were sitting together quietly. Not awkward. Not distant. Just peaceful. She looked at me and smiled. A real smile. The kind I hadn't seen in a long time. I think I understand something now, she said. What? I asked. She held my hand gently. Love isn't about always feeling happy. She paused. It's about choosing each other, even when things feel broken. I didn't respond immediately. Because I was thinking about that night. The night I almost walked away. The night everything could have ended. And I realized something. If I had left, I would have never seen this version of us. The honest version. The real version. The version that wasn't perfect. But was true. I almost left, I admitted quietly. She looked down. I know, she whispered. There was silence again. But this time, it wasn't heavy. It was understanding. I'm glad you didn't, she said. I looked at her. And for the first time in a long time, I believed we might actually be okay. Not because everything was fixed, but because we were finally facing the truth. And sometimes, that's enough to start again. The night she said she hated me wasn't the night our marriage broke. Backhand index pointing right, it was the night the truth finally came out. Backhand index pointing right, and without that truth, we would have kept pretending until everything silently died. Direct hit. People don't always lose love. They lose connection. They lose communication. They lose themselves. And instead of fixing it, they hurt each other. But sometimes, if you're brave enough to face the truth, backhand index pointing right, even broken relationships can be rebuilt. Fire. We didn't save our marriage because we were perfect. Backhand index pointing right, we saved it because we finally stopped lying.